Hey everybody, Gamer Gramps here. Today we're going to be talking about 5 tips for Civilization 6 Gathering Storm that you can use starting today to help you win your games faster. If that sounds interesting, then you should definitely stick around. If you want to get good at Civ 6, subscribe and hit the bell to keep up with this channel. A lot of new players struggled to defend themselves from the AI attacking them in the early game. One of the worst culprits for doing this is the Persian civilization. They're a notoriously bad neighbor to have and are famous for rolling over new players dipping their toes into the higher difficulty levels for the first time. Well, the first tip in the video is going to help solve that problem. Persia is literally scripted to be likely to declare a surprise war. Sounds bad, I know. Well, the flip side of that coin is that Cyrus also likes civilization who declare surprise wars. Believe it or not, even people who declare surprise wars on him. When you first meet Persia, I would suggest moving your unit away so it doesn't die, and then declare a surprise war on him the following turn. In 10 turns, he will almost always make peace without a fuss. The positive impact you receive from triggering his leadership agenda actually outweighs the negative impact from declaring war on him very quickly. It should go without saying that you only want to use this strategy at the very beginning of the game, preferably in the ancient era when it's not going to generate grievances towards anybody else, but you can usually get away with it in the classical and even sometimes the medieval era too, without it ruining your reputation with the other civilizations too badly. So if you do end up deciding to do this, unless you inadvertently trigger some other agenda he has, he will be happy to become your declared friend before you know it. If you want to speed this process along, pay for open borders the turn that you make peace with him. This will help improve your relationship, and after a couple turns, you should be able to send him a delegation, which will help increase things even faster, and before you know it, he'll have the green smiley face and you can declare your friendship. On to tip number 2. This is the first of 2 tips concerning using policy cards to good effect in this video. I think most players who have played the game for a while know how important the feudalism civic is to prioritize because it unlocks the serfdom policy card, which gives all builders you produce an additional 2 charges. For newer players, I'll briefly explain how important this is. Builders start with 3 charges normally, so this card almost doubles the amount of charges you can do with each builder for the same investment and production it would cost to get you your 3-charge builder. Now don't worry, using the serfdom policy card is not the tip, although I'm sure there will be a few newer players who didn't know about how important it is until now. The tip is to use some foresight and plan ahead in order to fully take advantage of the turn you first unlock serfdom. The first policy card in the game that affects builders is the Ilkum policy card, and this beauty gives you plus 30% production when constructing them. That's a really big deal. The problem is that as soon as you reach the feudalism civic to unlock serfdom, which gives you the plus 2 charges, the Ilkum policy card disappears from the game. You lose the chance to take advantage of the plus 30% production until way later in the game when you unlock the public works policy card. However, what you can do is actually pre-build as many builders as you have cities before you reach feudalism. To do this effectively, you simply put the Ilkum policy card on to get that plus 30% production bonus, and then start making builders in most, if not all, of your cities. Now, this does require a little bit of micromanagement because you have to pay attention to the timing of all your different cities. What you watch out for is when a city is 1 turn away from producing the builder. Then, jump to the city and switch production onto something else. Rinse and repeat this process until you have all the cities you want 1 turn away from the builder, and then go ahead and finally unlock feudalism. You can switch into the serfdom policy card and then go back to all those cities and have them finish the builders. In 2 turns, you'll have almost all those builders done with an extra 2 charges on them. So there's 2 things to keep in mind when you're doing this. The first is to remember that you can do this at multiple times in the game before you reach feudalism, in case you don't want all of your cities producing builders at the same time. You can do all your cities in 2 or 3 different batches if that's more convenient. Just switch in and out of Ilkum as you need. The other thing to remember is that you need to switch back into your builders the turn that you discover feudalism, not the turn before you do. This is because your builders would finish and be produced at the very beginning of the turn, which would be before you actually have the serfdom enabled, so they wouldn't receive their bonus 2 charges. Talking about timing your builders properly is almost a perfect segue onto the next tip of the video, which is namely to talk about lining up timings consistently. This is an extremely important topic that in all honesty probably deserves its own video to do it justice, but we're going to do a condensed version today. There are a ton of different timings to pay attention to as you progress through the game, and the more you learn about them and memorize them, the easier they are to recognize, and taking advantage of them will definitely help you win games faster. The first one I'm going to talk about today is an extremely important timing when it comes to winning a science game faster. What you need to do first is decide which kind of economy you're going to develop, either a faith economy or a gold economy. This choice dictates whether you use Reina or Moksha in this timing. What I'm talking about is timing out your research of the rocketry technology with having one of those 2 governors sitting in whatever city you want your first spaceport in, and having the foresight to make sure that they have 4 governor points sunk into them. 1 to actually recruit them, and then 3 more to get them to the respective promotions which allow you to purchase districts. I can't stress how important this is. The amount of time you shave off a science victory by nailing this timing is huge. Just don't forget to save up enough of your desired currency first. You'll need 7,200 gold or half that much faith, 3,600, to instantly purchase your spaceport. The next timing I'm going to bring up is one that's very important in order to win a religious game as fast as you possibly can. The Mohabadi Temple is basically essential if you want to get a fast win with religion. What this wonder does is give you 2 free apostles, which are over 400 faith each to purchase normally. This is an unbelievably huge advantage because you get your first apostles on their way to the closest neighbor with a religion so much earlier. It should go without saying that you want to use Magnus to boost chops and make sure you have the Corvée policy card slotted in while chopping in order to get this wonder fast. Those aren't the timings I'm talking about though. The most important part to really take advantage of how powerful this wonder really is for a religious game is to make sure you have Moksha fully promoted with his ability to grant an extra promotion to apostles and have him established in the city producing the wonder before it is actually produced. This timing is very powerful, but surprisingly easy to achieve if you put a little planning into it. Basically, you have 2 governor promotions to play with before having to sink your next 4 into Moksha to have him promoted in time. I should say, you have that many promotions if you're planning on building a government plaza and its first tier building. Otherwise, you'd have to just only pick Moksha right away, and I'd really advise against this. For my 2 promotions, I almost always go with either Magnus and his promotion where you don't lose population for settlers, or I go with grabbing Magnus for his chopping bonus and Liang for her bonus builder charges. The odd time I might choose Amani over Liang if I have Yerevan in the game because they are godly, and having their suzerainship before unlocking this timing is like a wet dream. If you successfully pull off this timing, you get the 2 free apostles very early in the game, and because of Moksha's promotion, you get to choose a second promotion for each of these apostles. This greatly increases your chance of getting at least one of them to have the debater promotion, which is a really big deal when it comes to easily wiping out heathen religions effectively. The last timing I'm going to discuss today can be used to help give you a great start to almost any type of victory, other than standard domination games. I think that most people generally go the route of the foreign trade civic into early empire, as most times it's going to be faster since finding a second continent is often easier to do than getting an early builder and having the proper tech to improve 3 tiles without wasting gold to purchase extra tiles too early. So while you're going down that route in culture, make sure to at least unlock mining and possibly bronze working if you prioritize getting the Eureka by killing 3 barbarians. When you unlock early empire, you choose Magnus as your first governor. Now, you have to decide where you're going to build your first wonder. There are only 3 that are realistic to choose from on DD difficulty, but on lower levels you obviously have more options. On DD though, 2 of the options are extremely dependent on your starting location, while the third is almost always a possibility. The first 2 choices are the Pyramids and Temple of Artemis, which are both very possible to achieve, yet are dependent on the terrain tiles that are more unlikely than our third choice. The third choice is the Oracle, and it's easier to reliably count on because all you need is a generic hill to build it on. The timing in order to successfully get these wonders in an efficient manner is to have Magnus waiting and established in your target city. You also need to build a builder or two up ahead of time and have them ready and waiting to chop as soon as you're ready. The timing is then to pivot in the civic tree over to state workforce before you begin chopping your wonder when you unlock the Surveyor policy card for that extra 15% production boost to your wonders. You'll almost always be successful in attaining these wonders on DD difficulty if you use this timing method properly. The fourth tip I'm going to mention today is a great way to save yourself some time when you start building your mid-game wonders that have 720 or more production. I think it's fair to assume that most players choose Classical Republic for more peaceful games, or Oligarchy if they want to jump into a domination game or are pulled into one against their will to take advantage of the extra combat strength and experience it offers. This gives us a unique opportunity to really take advantage of the bonus that comes along with Autocracy. It gives you an extra plus 10% production towards wonders. Don't get me wrong, we aren't going to waste this opportunity by switching into the government as soon as we get political philosophy and using it for one of the early wonders. They are easy enough to get on their own by just using the Surveyor policy card and some good chops with Magnus. What you want to do is hold off on this government type until you unlock the techs or civics you need in order to build a good mid-game wonder. Some amazing choices to use this tip on is the Kilwa Kisawani, Forbidden City, or the Patala Palace if you're playing a science or culture game, or the Hagia Sophia is a great choice if you're going for a pure religious win. What you do is simply time things out so that you have Magnus established wherever you plan to build your wonder and some builders in place waiting to do your chops. Then, you time it out so that you jump into Autocracy, chop the wonder out real quick, taking advantage of that extra plus 10% production, and then switch immediately into a different form of government. The reason you want to time this correctly and do it quick is that you don't want to be stuck in that government for an extended period of time by the time you actually make your way to the correct techs or civics for the respective wonders you've chosen to target. Also, don't forget to make sure to have the correct wonder building policy card slotted in. You need to make your way to the Divine Right Civic, which unlocks the monarchy government, but also gives you access to the Gothic Architecture policy card, which helps medieval age wonders. The nice thing about needing to get to this policy card is it gives you a higher level government to jump back into once you take advantage of the increased wonder production that Autocracy gives you while you make your way through the civics tree to unlock exploration so you can get into Merchant Republic. Alright, last but not least today we're going to talk about the Land Surveyor policy card. This is going to be a very short tip because it's very simple. Quite frankly, you need to use the fucking policy card. I think almost everybody who plays the game is aware of this policy card, but I think I'd also be safe to argue that most beginner and even quite a few intermediate level players don't use it as much as they should. I'll be the first to admit it. I was really bad at practicing what I preach for a long time. It wasn't until somewhat recently that I began focusing on using this card as much as I can and really started to fully understand how powerful it is when used and how easy it is to use it frequently as long as you simply plan ahead and use it properly. This card allows you to buy 5 tiles where normally you would only be able to grab 4. That's powerful in and of itself, but that's only if you want to use it for buying another tile. That 20% you save might be just what you need to upgrade another slinger to an archer in the early game, or save you just enough cash in the mid game to help purchase that luxury you want to grab to help out with your amenities. So very simply, what you want to do is just save your gold for the 3 to 5 turns until you have the policy card in, then buy in bulk to save more money. As you get into the habit of doing this, it's easier and easier to remember, and obviously the more you do it, the more you'll get to enjoy the rewards of using this policy card effectively. Generally speaking, unless you have some crazy awesome tile that you need to get hooked up immediately because it's so powerful, or you need to quickly buy tiles that are bordering with another civilization, you should try to slot this card in anytime you're going to buy land. This definitely isn't the first Civ 6 tips and tricks video I've done, so if you've been finding this video helpful, you might want to check the others out. There's a link on the screen right now if you want to head straight there. Not all strategies and techniques have to be uber powerful to have a game-changing impact in Civilization 6. A lot of times it can be smaller things that you repeat over and over throughout the course of a game that have the biggest impact when it's all said and done. If you've learned something and enjoyed the video, do me a favor and click the thumbs up to like the video or share it with somebody you know that you think it might help out. Better yet, do both. That being said, thanks for watching. I'm just going to shut up now and I'll see you in the next video.